Hello and welcome. It is Nomadic Shaman here. Thank you for visiting my page. Today's video, I wanted to talk about the walk-in soul experience. For those who are new to my channel, I like to use examples, so this will be no different. As far as a walk-in soul experience, think of the WWE or WWF tag team duo. So the first two are jumping in, they're going in strong, and then there's a point where one of the opponents is starting to get fatigued, and so right before they tap out, they tag in their partner. Their partner jumps in with fresh, new, revitalized energy and finishes out that match strong. Okay, shit, sometimes just finishing barely, but they finish. And so that's a physical representation of what the walk in soul experience is like, at least what I'm going to touch on today. So then the next point would be, well, how does this happen? How does this come about? This is written within the soul agreements and soul contracts prior to incarnation. However, there is an opportunity for these soul contracts, agreements to be amended as we are lifing. And so what happens is the older soul, the more advanced soul, the more enlightened soul will come into the body as the younger soul leaves out. And usually that younger soul has been beaten, battered, and bruised by lifing, and their soul is tired, and they are no more about, well, they want to get up out of earth. Okay, get up out of earth and go home. That's where they're at. Whereas the older soul, the more advanced and the more enlightened soul, and what I mean when I say all these adjectives, what I'm getting to is that they have acquired more wisdom because they have had more incarnations. So therefore they have lived, they have the knowledge that they've acquired by living through experience, therefore gaining the wisdom, therefore passing a lot of these lessons and tests and experiences as a result. So where the younger soul was having trouble navigating life, the more advanced soul that's been there, done that, is just like, that's a piece of cake. I'm jumping in. I'm more zoomed in and focused on the mission. Like, I'm not about to let anything stop me. And usually this mission, has to do with serving humanity, shifting humanity, raising the consciousness and awareness of the planet. Depending on whatever your mission is usually tied within that some way, shape, or form. Okay, so then the next point is, well, how does this come about? It usually happens during NDE experiences, that would be near-death experiences, trauma-related experiences, as well as coma, one being in a coma. And if you've ever thought about or remember where somebody who has been in a coma, right, and then they get out of a coma and they're like a brand new person. Why? Because technically they are. I'm talking about those people who was all about drugs, substances, just all in their shenanigans, scandalous activities and everything of that nature. And then all of a sudden it feels like all of a sudden, but when they come out of a coma, they start moving differently. They distance themselves from the old friends who were about that past life, that old version of them. That's down to friends, that's down to family, that's even down to jobs and businesses, that's even down to spiritual gifts, because the new soul has already had a number of activations and initiations where they have more, or they're stronger in certain spiritual gifts, which is why if you've ever heard of some people who have had near-death experiences and they come back in life and all of a sudden they're psychics. Yeah, that's why. It's new soul that's had more activations, more initiations, more incarnations, therefore more wisdom and knowledge. Okay, so the other last part that I wanted to add was, I'll speak about that later, but the one part that I wanted to add is, so how does this happen? Well, it's like a download. So the blueprint is downloaded, the memories are downloaded, the experiences are downloaded. So essentially they're caught up to speed with how the old soul that left about how they live their life, okay, and what's currently happening. The last part that I wanted to add was, so how do you know if you are a walk-in soul? And I will say, usually this information comes about through hypnotherapy, past life regression, as well as Akashic readings. And it's usually the Akashic readings that include being in a meditative state and then also journeying. Journeying is affiliated with these shamanic rituals and practices. And so what that is essentially is astral projecting, astral traveling rather, to different timelines. Either past timelines, future timelines, different timelines and dimensions. So you're able to go and get information. And that's how you're able to find out or confirm rather if you are a walking soul. Or you can confirm with your higher self. Okay, that's another way for you to be able to identify if you are indeed a walking soul. Now, the last part that I wanted to speak about was about how the walking soul experience happens, and that would be through rituals. This is more so man-made, where the man is in the man is in the driver's seat, okay? And this really has more to do with like dominion, greed, my opinion, dominion, greed, consequences, so that if based on something that either you shouldn't have done or that you should do, but you didn't do. And so now, as a result, the man, through ritualistic or ceremonial activities, now the consciousness gets swapped. It could be different bodies, it could be shit, what have you. Because when I say different bodies, it's not always the case, human bodies. Okay, so I will leave that there for now. I hope you found this video helpful. Feel free to comment, like, share, and follow. And until the next one, I'm out.